Good evening and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
UNP backbench MPs announce party is ready to form independent government. Will there be a change in the post of Prime Minister? UPFA General Secretary says no agreement to form alliances in hung local government authorities. Chamal Rajapaksa calls for immediate elections.
This evening, I'm joined by Faraz Shakotali and Chaturanga Haparachi, who have been closely following the events at Temple Trees and the President's house. Chaturanga, the coalition government seems to be in turmoil today. What can you tell us about this?
Thank you, Sandro. Good evening to our viewers. Good evening to you, Faraz. First time we are seated here at the set with all gents cast.
Indeed.
As you said, Sandro, turmoil indeed. There seems to be a big problem within the United National Party. In fact, for us, this problem that we have at hand today is the problem that was created when the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, a party that is not even 1 year old, headed by none other than GL Piris, was able to destroy the UNP in terms of the local government elections this time around.
That's right. It was completely routed by this party that was barely a year old. But actually, Chaturanga, the problem is rather a little bit deeper than that.
Yeah.
And that is that this is all about the crisis at the UNP, a leadership crisis. This crisis started way back in 1994 after the assassination of President Ranasinghe Premadasa. And in no other democratic country in the world has there been one man who has led that party for over a quarter of a century, and that is a telling indictment on the leadership problem at the United National Party.
Let me focus the attention of our viewers to the problems that transpired or the situation that transpired at Temple Trees this morning. Now for us, we know that the people in the ground level, UNP supporters, aides of the candidates who contested for the local government elections, had a grave problem when it came to the results because the UNP didn't win. Point blank. So they went up to their local leaders, district leaders, parliamentarians from their respective area, and they raised their concerns to say, look, we haven't won, we have worked very hard to keep the UNP at this place, so we haven't won. And what happened was, there was this sense of agitation amongst the UNP MPs, the backbenchers as well.
Indeed.
They were very strong in voicing their opinion yesterday night. Several sources confirmed to us that they were agitated. Now this agitation, they took it to the Prime Minister, the leader of the United National Party, to tell them this is what is going on. Now instead what happened was the Prime Minister, the leader of the United National Party, Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe, what he did was he did not accept everyone together. They invited 16 people or something like that, group by group,
yes.
UMP MPs inside. Instead, basically from the visuals we saw, I think our producer can put it on air, you saw the UNP MPs going in like lions with the agitations of the problems, you know, a lot of emotion, love to the party, affection to the party. But what happened inside is a mystery, because when they came out, they seem to have forgotten everything that happened inside.
They also seem to have forgotten the people's interests.
Definitely, they have been completely, the people's problems have been put aside completely, and it was almost as if they received what they wanted. It was almost as if, look, we've come here, we came with the problem, but the Prime Minister has given us this solution. So, you know, we are all happy, jolly, and we are going back home, sort of thing.
But it appears that that solution was to the exclusion of the people of the country, to the exclusion of Sri Lanka, and that this problem seemed to have been solved by fulfilling the personal agendas of these members of his party.
Yes, Faraz. Now, when the UNP members were leaving, what happened was, as I told you, they were brought in batch-wise, group by group. So this is the thing that this country has the problem. No, this is coming from the colonial times as well. Divide and conquer. That is what was done.
Divide and rule, yes.
Yes, but divide and rule. Now, the Prime Minister is a person with 40 years of experience, and he has lost how many elections for us?
30.
30 elections. So, he is a person with a lot of experience, a lot of ability to handle this sort of situation.
It's not like he is unaware of this, because if you do the math, you'll find that the Prime Minister, the leader of the United National Party, has overseen 30 losses, and he's served for 40 years. So, you know, it's a pretty bad average.
Here we are for us. We are looking at the visuals of all of these members coming in their very expensive luxury cars going into the temple trees this morning. This is, we recorded this footage with our correspondent who is standing by even right now. Quite later on in the night, we have our reporters there to tell the people of this country as to what is going on. They are going in with their problems to meet the Prime Minister, the leader of the United National Party. But we also have the visual to show of how they are coming out. They seem to be very happy of the decisions they've reached. Have the people of this country, the ardent UN peers, the affectionate UN peers, received a problem to their receive a solution to their problem?
It apparently not.
Now, then what happens? So, this meeting was held for quite some time. There were various questions that were raised in this meeting, especially senior members of the United National Party have come forward and said, let's get a letter drafted to say that we have no problem within the UNP, we have no problem with the leadership continuing as it is, and let's hand it over to the President. They were supposed to meet the President later on in the night. As we speak, the meeting between the UNPS and the President is ongoing. Now, they said that they'll draft a letter, but that seemed to have died a natural death inside that whole commotion that was going on inside the temple trees this afternoon. Then what had happened was the UNP member who had working very hard for the UNP had raised his voice and said, look, we have been campaigning for the election, we have been doing canvassing activities, but we did not even get money. Then Honorable Manik Samaravikrama, who was at this meeting, had all of a sudden woken up and he said, what do you mean we didn't have money? I left the money at the Sirikota, the party headquarters. Then there seemed to have been a little argument there because someone had taken that money out and the people who it was originally supposed to go to had not gone there as well. Even at a party meeting for us, there seems to be a problem of money.
Indeed. And we know that the UNP party coffers must be flush with funds because the media have been full of those details, purportedly how the United National Party secured funds.
Yes.
Much of the country is aware of that.
Now for us, as I told you, after these the UNP members went in, they came out and they spoke to the media, and this is what they had to say. Let's have a look.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe met with UNP backbench MPs on 2 occasions today. The first meeting with 10 backbench MPs was held at Temple Trees around 10 this morning. The MP spoke to the media after the meeting.
We said this wasn't just a red warning from the people, but in fact a slap on the face. The people who voted for us in 2015 have given us a clear message. We discussed everything one by one. We spoke about certain changes that need to take place in the party, especially the future of the government. After these discussions, a majority said the UNP should form an independent government. We spoke about the country's agenda and development program. We also discussed about how we will progress in the future at the village level. The Prime Minister spoke about these matters openly as the party leader. He did not try to swat away any idea. We didn't discuss only his opinion. He gave all the MPs to speak freely. But it was our suggestion that the Prime Minister make some changes internally and form an independent UNP government. No, we did not discuss that far. We did not take any decision on the party leadership. We will hand over our suggestions to the party leaders. No, we are not. We admit that this is not an election that changes the Prime Minister. But we are certainly of the opinion that certain changes should take place in the party. We recommended the party leader and working committee to discuss those changes.
Anyone from the Sri Lanka Freedom Party can join us if they want. We made a strong request from the Prime Minister, So he will discuss it with the president and give us a good decision within 2 or 3 days.
Mahinda Rajapaksa is saying he is not ready to take over the government. We cannot let the country fall into instability. He says he will not take over the post of Prime Minister. In that case, the United National Party will govern the country into stability. For that, the government needs to be formed first, and the request was for the UNP to form an independent government.
We unanimously decided that the UNP should form an independent government. That is what the people want. We did not talk about that. We only spoke about forming a government.
For us, a lot of things are being shared on social media, especially today because of this whole commotion that is happening with the United National Party and its leadership and who the Prime Minister of this country will be. We will get all of that. We'll know the answer for sure after the meeting with the President that is being held right now. We got a message through WhatsApp, a message that is being shared widely, and we thought we'll bring it to our viewers as well. This is how it goes. Quoting from a message from a person called AJ. So here we are again, a completely destroyed United National Party. A party in complete control of the government, whipped by a party that is just about a year old, led by an octogenarian Professor G.L. Pires. But that's not the half of it. Its leader, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, is at it again. The man who's lost 30 elections. The man who's allowed for the biggest robbery in the history of our nation.
He's playing musical chairs with his erstwhile colleague Malik and Sagala. He will move a few faces, change a few seats, say a few lies and remain as ever the party's leader. Forever, probably. And with that, Sri Lanka will slide down the economic tube. It will be more or less completely acquired by China while the US, India and the West looks on. If there's any humour in this, it is watching the UNP MPs. They agitated for a quick minute to get out of the initial anger, but now, back in Colombo, they couldn't care less about the people they represent.
For them, this defeat isn't all important anymore. It is a political opportunity to create a government, to extend one's lot, to win a position. Let me tell you why I am happy about this. This is the very edge of our post-independence politics. We will soon fall off a perfect example of how the people's voice isn't being reflected and is in fact being wholly ignored by the entire political establishment. So here's what's going to happen. Complete wipeout. Someone will emerge. A new leader, a fresh face, someone out of the blue and out of politics. And the people will follow him or her. And a new era will be heralded. When that happens, remember this scribe, AJ. This is what that message says for us. Interesting words indeed. Now, with all of this happening, we also saw the Ambassador of the United States and representatives from the Indian High Commission also going to the temple trees while the UNP members were still inside. Then the General Secretary of the United People's Freedom Alliance, the UPFA, Minister Mahinda Amaravira, also had a statement to make. He said that they have not reached an agreement with any party to form alliances in hung local government authorities. This is their side of the story. Let's have a look.
Issuing a statement, Minister Amaravira states that elected representatives have been issued the relevant instructions by the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and United People's Freedom Alliance. Minister Amaravira adds that the support of representatives of both the UPFA and SLFP is required to establish control of 167 local government bodies. He went on to say the number of councillors from the UPFA and SLFP will be decided on after receiving the first past the post election results from the National Elections Commission. Ms. Amaravira said the appointments will be made based on the criteria laid out by the party and after discussions with electoral organisers and district leaders of both parties.
Now for us, this question is very simple. A person who has lost elections for very long time, lost 30 elections to be precise, is still holding on to power. The problem is what is happening to the ground level UNPs, the people who are actually working hard to make a difference.
Very unfortunately, all the efforts at being done at the grassroots level is being wasted and squandered away. It's just simply going away without achieving anything. And this is the root cause of this is that leadership crisis. It is a telling indictment on the leader of the United National Party that in spite of being the leader for over a quarter of a century, 40 years actually, not quite, but a quarter of the century, in 2010 the United National Party were forced to use a proxy to fight the the presidential poll there, and again in 2015, and of course the proxy won. But what Mr. Wickremesinghe forgot was, and didn't bargain for, was that this proxy this time round was not a puppet.
Faraz, I have to interrupt you there for a moment and draw the attention of our viewers to the visuals we just saw. While the UNP members are also having discussions, the Podujana Peramuna, or the parties that supported the Podujana Peramuna, also convened and held the meeting of their own. We saw visuals of Johnston Fernando, Uday Gammanpilla, a monk also going into that. Those visuals, we are looking at it again. Those were the visuals at the residence of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, and we are also going to now focus the attention for us to a media briefing that was held by the leader of the National Unity Alliance, Asad Sali.
It wasn't just a red warning to the government, but it was also a vote against the government. This is because they were not able to do anything they said they would. This election panned out this way because this government protected the thieves. Malik Samaravikrama had dealings with whoever Mahinda Rajapaksa had dealings with. There was a tyre factory in Horana. Then regarding the port, Ranil Wickremesinghe said he would terminate the port agreement, and he did when he came in. But later on he increased the land area and gave it away. The people say that deal was handled by Malik Samaravikrama and that he got $100 million out of it. Malik Samaravikrama was involved in every deal this government got into. This is why UNPers are saying that a government without Ranil and Malik should be established. Now they are calling those who are causing trouble. They were sure that Harin Fernando would be made the General Secretary of the UNP. Its leaders started something new yesterday. They could actually get all the details if the entire UNP group can convene in one place, the ministers, state ministers, deputy ministers and MPs. But without doing this, they are breaking it down to smaller groups. Then the noise is less and the views opposing the leader will also be less. They could also identify who is speaking out, so that person could be put out. To eliminate Harsha, they are removing Kabir Hashim and appointing Harin Fernando as General Secretary. Then they are trying to remove Ranjan Ramanayaka because he always speaks the truth. Like this, the media has exposed that Malik Samaravikrama is involved in a massive conspiracy. Malik Samaravikrama says the UNP will form an independent government. Well, it isn't that easy for them to form a government with just 107 MPs. Lakshman Kiriala said the media will be taught a lesson after the February 10th election. Turns out it is the media and the people who have got together and taught Lakshman Kiriala and his party a lesson.
Now for us, the situation here is very simple. We also have the visuals of these UNP members going in to meet the president. There is an interesting story there as well. When the UNP members were asking or telling the president that they are going to come and meet him, the president was unaware that the whole UNP membership was going to come and actually see him. The president has announced, basically told the UNP, no, I just want to talk to the cabinet ministers from the United National Party. If there's a problem of that sort, let's hold a discussion. And the cabinet ministers were invited into the president's house to have that discussion. These are visuals that were obtained about an hour ago opposite the president's official residence. We saw how the cabinet ministers representing the United National Party arrived at the president's house, followed by, after everyone, all the cabinet ministers representing the United National Party arrived there, those who were around obviously, not from far away. We also saw the final person who went into the president's palace was Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe himself. Now Faraz, there have been several issues in this country after 2015, after this government came into power. One such thing was the bond scam.
Indeed.
But there were several natural disasters as well. There were floods, there were droughts, there was an issue with regard to the fertilizer, people committing suicide, lot of issues in the country. But did you at any point, do you remember an instance where the United National Party was very swift, acting this fast to convene and solve a problem?
Very, very unfortunately, not a chance, never. as far as I can remember. We must also remember that when this country has been through very difficult times, the United National Party have never convened in the manner that they have done whenever their leadership has been under attack or under scrutiny by their members. And that's very sad, because even during the war, when the government of the day was securing funds and raising funds, it was no less a person than Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe who assured those banks who were considering these loans, unfortunately, ironically, bonds, that if they came into power and when they came into power, they would not honour those payments. We must remember the absolute treachery of that party, especially when the country was fighting a terrorist separatist movement.
For us, the main problem here is very simple. The people watching us will understand that the United National Party leadership is trying to take one problem and trying to create a different problem altogether and find a solution to that second problem whilst leaving the first problem as it is.
Yes.
The problem here is not whether the United National Party can create a government of its own, whether the national government will be dissolved and whether the SLFP faction of the government will be on the opposition side. That is not the problem here. The problem here is that a party that was just about 1 year old came to the local government elections and was able to basically sweep the United National Party out of the local government authority, the institutions in the local government.
That's right.
That problem, has the UNP been able to provide a solution? No. Now are they trying to solve a different problem altogether? Yes. And what is that problem? Whether the UNP can create a government of its own inside the parliament. Now actually what is funny here is that the people, the United National Party members, the backbenchers, the parliamentarians of the United National Party who understood this yesterday seems to be forgetting it this morning.
Yes, they're suffering from a onset of Alzheimer's, unfortunately.
Various views were expressed in the political arena today as well. Here's a look for us.
According to the mandate of the people, they have given the verdict that Ranil Wickremesinghe should be removed as Prime Minister from the coalition government, and he should. There are a couple of reasons why. His economic program was unsuccessful, and he along with his group are involved in fraud and corruption. So a clean governance should be established in this country. Since they gave room for the foundation of this formula, several victories have emerged here.
This objection towards the government was created by the Prime Minister for how he steered the country and its economy. So, if this government does not take important decisions which the people would feel, we know for a fact that we cannot stop the people from getting onto the streets against the government. They have to clean up this government by removing the gangs which obstructed and destroyed the journey of fulfilling the people's aspirations. They can only find answers to this crisis if they render a faithful service to the people. The country needs a leader that understands the public mandate given in 2015.
We need a new Prime Minister who can carry forward a new Parliament. We believe the President would make that decision in the coming few days. This government should take on a new journey over the next 2 years, which can give the people what they didn't get. Then the people will decide.
Addressing a media briefing in the Tissamaharam area today, UPFA parliamentarian Chamal Rajapaksa expressed the following views.
There may be various rumors being spread among the people, but the people have voted for a new party, a new symbol. They don't believe that they should ever get together. If they do get together, people will lose this faith. We have no interest in getting together. Our policies and programs are different. We will rectify the shortcomings in our programs and fulfill the needs of the country and the people. There is no point for any coalition. That is a different party. The symbol of the chicken is a different party. We are talking about the betel leaf and the hand. Number one, no one has called me to take over the post of Prime Minister. See, I told you there are rumors just flying around. It would be better to just sleep at home rather than taking over the post of Prime Minister. The people have to choose their President and Prime Minister. The best way to do that is, without waiting for another 2 years for a parliament and presidential election, dissolve this now and call for elections. Then the people can make a decision soon.
Now, Chaturanga, there's a similar story unfolding in South Africa. South Africa's ruling African National Congress has formally asked President Jacob Zuma to resign. The reported decision to recall him followed marathon talks by senior party officials that continued into the early hours this morning. What do you think about this?
Sanduru, very simple. Sanduru, politician, if that politician knows it's time to go, that politician, for us, I think you'll agree with me, that politician has to go gracefully, having respect to the position that he's holding and having respect to himself or herself. So we'll look at what is happening in South Africa and come back.
The decision followed 13 hours of tense deliberations and one short face-to-face exchange between Zuma and his presumed successor, Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa. 75-year-old President Zuma, a polygamous Zulu traditionalist with no formal education, has been living on borrowed time since Ramaphosa, a union leader and lawyer once tipped as Mandela's pick to take over the reins, was elected as head of the 106-year-old ANC in December. Despite the damning decision to order Zuma's quote-unquote recall, ANC speak for a removal from office, domestic media say he might yet defy the party's wishes, forcing it into the indignity of having to unseat him in parliament. Shortly before midnight, the state broadcaster said Zuma had been told in person by Ramaphosa that he had 48 hours to resign. A senior party source later told Reuters Zuma had made clear that he was going nowhere.
Now, by contrast to the former New Zealand Prime Minister, Bill English has chosen to resign as leader of the opposition less than 6 months after being defeated by Labour's Stardust Jacinda Ardern.
Speculation had been building for weeks that English would step aside, and the decision became clear after the National Party met for a 2-day conference last week. English said he would step aside on 27th of February and the party would then vote on a new leader and deputy leader to take them to the 2020 election.
Now, for us, all of what is happening in our country has an impact on the economy as well. The Sri Lankan rupee ended down after hitting a record low yesterday. Reuters report foreign investors sold government securities following local election defeats at the weekend for ruling coalition parties.
That's right.
The rupee, which traded at record low of 155 during the day, ended at 154.95 or 155.05 per dollar. It surpassed its previous all-time closing low of 154.60 hit on Tuesday. A currency dealer said that there was selling on treasury bonds by foreigners due to the political uncertainty and also the EU listing of Sri Lanka on a money laundering blacklist. The rupee will be under pressure to depreciate until we see a solution to the political uncertainty or giving confidence to the market. Foreign investors sold at net 6.03 billion rupees worth of government securities last week. In addition, dealers expect a 2 to 3% depreciation in the rupee and higher volatility this year on account of debt repayments by the government. The rupee fell 2.5% last year and 3.9% in 2016.
Take a look at more situation that is surrounding this whole political issue for us. We have been continuously keeping our viewers updated as to what is going on. We have breaking news running on our sister channel Sirasa TV as well. We invite the people of our country, if you want to keep up to date on the political situation in the country, please tune on to Sirasa TV in a short while. We'll have a news update for you as well. Thank you very much for watching. Sandaru, thank you for giving us the opportunity. Faraz, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It's back to the studio.